The only thing we have done is to come up with the terminology blue economy. Beyond that, there's nothing. Absolutely.
Are you a pessimist?
That's what people think. No. My bar is high. If you go there, do you see things going on? Whether Uhuru has launched it in 2022, the year of the election, or 2021,
accompanied by Raila Odinga,
or whether he did it 7 years ago accompanied by Ruto. What the bottom line? Do we have that project going on? Is it viable? That's what you must look at. But politics will always be there. People will see politics even in the way you are dressed.
Even without being an economist also.
What does an economist know? This is not about economics. This is about common sense.
All right.
It's about leadership.
In 2018, Kenya hosted its first Sustainable Blue Economy Conference. And by blue economy, I refer to the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, while at it preserving the ocean ecosystem. What substantial strides have we made as a country in that sector, and what needs to be addressed today, if not yesterday? I'm yours truly, Richard Mwenja, son of the soil, and now I'm joined on set by none other than the man himself, the phenomenal statesman, Herman Manyora. So welcome on the program.
Thank you, Richard.
All right. In 2018, we saw President Uhuru Kenyatta had a delegation that was here to talk about blue economy. Do you feel several years later we've lived to the potential of having blue economy address issues such as poverty, hunger, and a conduit for creating jobs?
The only thing we have done is to come up with the terminology blue economy. Beyond that, there's nothing. Absolutely.
Are you a pessimist?
That's what people think. No. My bar is high.
All right.
Yeah.
I see. Let's talk first about issues to do with port logistics. We've seen issues of tax evasion still coming up and catching up with us even in this day and age. Do you feel there's a chance for us to be accountable in terms of how we handle transparency around Kenya Ports Authority and all those other revenue generating streams?
What we need at the port is to have a conversation around a free port. That's the conversation I want us to talk about. And if we can't get that high, because that's a fairly high, as we talk about taxation in this country, let us also talk about levies, duties. Some of these things are just too high.
All right.
So let's moderate the requirements. How easy is it for a Kenyan to import something from another country, to come to this country? We have to have a conversation around a free port, and if that is too much for us, let us look at the charges and other levies.
All right. Yes. Talking about free port, let's advance this conversation and look at the case of Seychelles. It has an exclusive free fish port called Port Victoria. Yes. Do you feel for the betterment of affairs of our fishermen here, we should also come up with probably a fish port? It was to be there under the LAPSET program, but years now it hasn't come through.
My thinking, I'm not speaking as an expert. I'm speaking using my global understanding. That the idea is attractive. It has worked elsewhere, in many other places. Look at what it has done to Dubai. What is so difficult with us engaging around that idea? That's why I said we have a conversation.
All right.
I did not say we immediately come up with a free port. I said we have a conversation. I'm for the conversation around a free port.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about matters to do with maritime tourism. You've seen the cases of depletion of the mangrove forest and, of course, the coral sea corals.
Yes.
Do you feel that we haven't harnessed the potential of also marine tourism and generated revenue from it?
Even before we go to marine tourism, what we want to do is to preserve that which we need to preserve, like the mangrove forests, because they're an important aspect in the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Let us protect the environment, which is our heritage also. Only after we have done that can we then bring in tourists. So that the tourism fits within our scheme of things, within our overall objective as a country, within our philosophy about the environment as people, and the role Kenya has to play in the global arena. Then they will fit in, and then we would actually encourage it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We saw barely a month ago President Uhuru Kenyatta launch the Kenya Shipyards Limited in the Kenya Naval Base in Mtongwe, and this will see manufacture of large vessels and also repairing. Do you feel now this a step in the right direction with regards to now coming up with correct infrastructure?
We need more of that. We cannot be talking of employment when we are not doing anything about industrialization. We're not moving anywhere where there's production going on. So anything that brings up on board production, that in turn brings on board jobs, is to be encouraged.
But skeptics to that narrative are saying that was just a political move that has come so late when President wants to exit the office, and the next government might not even look into the blue economy sector.
But if you go there, that's not, I'm not even looking at blue economy. We haven't touched blue economy. If you go there, do you see things going on? Whether Uhuru has launched it in 2022, the year of the election, or 2021,
accompanied by Raila Odinga,
or whether he did it 7 years ago accompanied by Ruto. What the bottom line? Do you have that project going on? Is it viable? That's what you must look at. But politics will always be there. People will see politics even in the way you are dressed.
Or they'll say probably in a certain camp.
Yes, yes. So that is normal.
All right.
It should not distract you. Niyo ni kama chura, huwezi kuzuia ng'ombe kunywa maji.
All right.
Uhuru should move on with what he's doing up to the point he leaves. The next person who takes over should do their bit. Politics will always be there.
All right.
Yes.
On matters of maritime security, do you feel the Kenya Coastal Guard Services and the Kenya Navy at large have really ramped up our attack against, say, territorial invasion around our waters?
You know, it's until recently Kenya never used to view this expansive water that is ours as anything. They just see it as water. And until recently, for example, when the Somalis are laying claim to part of that, and when pirates came, and foreigners had to come in to help us sort out that, because in their own interest also. And of course, competition for the limited resources. Until recently, Kenya has never really bothered about the maritime potential at the coast. I'm hoping now they will be able to move. I'm hoping they'll be able to give a good budget to the Kenya Navy, a serious budget. I'm hoping they will give a budget for marine research in terms of billions of shillings. But I'm also hoping when it comes to employment, they will also not use this as just another opportunity to employ. Some woman leader from Lamu, when there was this tragedy in Mombasa where a woman and her kid
drowned.
The drowned. He says, I'm not surprised people are just looking. She says there are boys who have lived with the sea, with the ocean. They can go inside so many meters without any gear and come out. When the time comes to employ coast guards, you bring somebody from Kiambu, somebody from Vihiga, where I come from. You know, we just see it as another job. This is what is killing this country.
All right.
Yes.
I see. And talking about empowering our fishermen and all those who are partaking their income generation activities at the shoreline.
Yes.
Do you suppose that government Joho, it should be his biggest undertaking before exit office to look at now empowering fishermen in terms of latitude, considerable latitude in terms of skill set, and making boats quite cheap, and also just navigating around the waters is quite safe and they are licensed?
He must do that. He must do that. But I think it's bigger than Joho. This is bigger than the county government. I'm seeing the government preparing a blueprint for the exploitation of marine life. It must, when you call me a pessimist, it must go beyond the lazy things we do in this country. It must go beyond the tokenism we are so good at. Look at Lake Naivasha. You talk about marine tourism. Do you know you can turn Lake Naivasha into a multi-billion resort center?
Talk to me about that.
In terms of just lake tourism, skiing, wonderful hotels. But how can that happen when we are pumping poison into the lake from flower farms? As if that's the only place you can grow flowers. And then if you ask for employment, how much money does the flower farms give Kenyans in terms of employment? It's just rubbish.
A few billions.
Just rubbish. The potential of Lake Naivasha for fishing, if you do not kill fish using those chemicals that are coming from the flower farms, the potential of Lake Naivasha in terms of tourism, my friend, that alone can surpass the income we have global in this country from tourism.
All right.
You can earn more than the 100 or so billion we get from tourism, from Lake Naivasha alone. Then you go to Lake Victoria. Then you go to another place. Then you go like Bogoria, with this unique.
Yeah, Baringo.
By the
and all
time
that.
you are finished exploiting the resources accorded the Lex give us, this country will be having a revenue of 5 trillion from that alone.
All right.
More than 5 trillion direct revenue to the government.
Okay.
And that's why I've always argued, if I was the president of this country, or if I was the minister in charge of finance, and I'm given a free hand, I will pay off the foreign debts we have in 5 years. Because I will push our income from the current less than 2 trillion to 10 trillion in 10 years.
Really?
10 to 15 trillion, yeah.
I see.
I will
Even
do it.
without being an economist also.
What does an economist know? This is not about economics. This is about common sense.
All right.
It's about leadership.
Okay.
This is about a vision. A vision. Once you are the leader, you look for experts to do the work for you, to calculate these things.
The cost,
Those ones will
narrative and
employ.
all that.
I will employ you as an economist. But the thinking will come from me.
I'm
The
looking
vision
for-
from me. The leadership is from me.
As long as you're my boss, I'll be in for it.
Thank you.
All right. Talking about how blue economy is set to ramp up the welfare of Kenyans, we've seen 3 weeks ago President Uhuru Kenyatta check on the progress of the 40 billion new Kipevu oil terminal. And this is geared towards seeing Kenya be a nation where the oil is the most cheap in the region. Do you see us living to that potential once it's commissioning in March?
I hope so, because if you want to industrialize this country, if you want to make business viable in this country,
All right.
if you want to do something about the transport sector, you begin with the oil. Both in terms of availability and cost. And then, of course, sometimes the two of them go together. We gotten ourselves, since we closed the oil refinery in Mombasa, we gotten ourselves to a point where we bring it as you bring. The oil you are the fuel you are putting into your car today was delivered last evening or last week.
A case of garbage in, garbage out.
No, not necessarily that, but a question of living from hand to mouth. No, not even that. Not that. The question of is, you have to wait for it to come for you to use it.
I see.
There is no reserve. Countries have oil that can last them for years. The United States, you may Google, I don't know. The United States has reserve to last it for I don't know how long. Because when I was doing some little economics many years ago, as you say, I don't know economics, I learned that there were 2 extreme cases of Russia and America.
All right.
America was the largest producer of oil. It had the greatest deposit and production of oil. Yet it was the biggest importer. You see that?
I see.
The same was of Russia. Russia was the biggest producer of grain, yet the greatest net importer of grain. That is, you are looking at that is strategic.
I see.
You have enough to last you for so long. So when it comes to oil, Kenya should enter into that
All right.
strategic arrangement where if something happened, there's no more oil coming for whatever reason, maybe war or whatever it is, or some geographical calamities, natural calamities.
Okay.
Can we have our vehicles on the road for 6 months at least? That's where we should be going.
All right.
Yeah.
The very last, we've seen climate change bolster into a potential threat towards the thriving of the blue economy. Do you feel as a country it's high time we now address to the fullest the subject of climate change and have youths who are the people Kenya will bank on tomorrow take this subject full throttle by themselves?
When it comes to global warming, climate change, environmental degradation, issues of biodiversity, we have no choice. There's absolutely no choice. No man, no country has choice over it. But I've always argued as a people, we must begin with the basics. If you go to Kericho,
All right.
as you get towards Kericho, 20, 30 kilometers to Kericho, you see the hills around you, which nobody should till that land. You see people have now begun cultivating. They have cut all the trees that were there. And knowing so well, because of the steepness, all the soil will be washed away. That's just an example of what's happening across the country. You see people planting blue gum along the streams. And naturally, within 10, 15 years, the stream is gone.
Dried up.
It's dried up. These are simple things you'd be able to do something about.
I see.
Yeah, as a country, we have no choice. So don't ask me whether we should. There is no choice. Mankind has no choice
Uh-huh.
but to stop and listen to experts.
All right.
That for our own survival, we need to take matters of climate change seriously.
There is a narrative that you should be at the forefront of taking this conversation a notch higher. Why do you think youth are better placed to drive the issue of climate change?
Youth should be better placed because the future belongs to it doesn't belong to Manyora. I'm at the exit door and you are the entrance. So the house belongs to you, not to me.
But if
Where I come from at my age, I'm not even supposed to be in the sitting room. The sitting room is supposed to be for my when I'm there, I just go in the kitchen with my wife. Because my boys are supposed to be in the sitting room.
All right.
My culture.
I see.
So even in life generally, we are exiting the scene.
All right.
It is people who have an interest in the future who should take issues of climate change seriously. And that is you, young people.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, an elder has spoken. That's why we wrap up business today on Business Glide, talking matters blue economy and what Kenya needs to address with regards to ramping up the productivity of the sector and challenge therein that should be addressed with our utmost urgency. Before we leave, our fan of the week is Kevin Kinuthia in Berlin, Germany.
From Berlin, Germany, Kevin Kinuthia. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Greet other Kenyans there. Tell them we are doing well in this country. We need your support. And also tell them to subscribe and be part of our family. Thank you very much.
All right, my voice is off, your mic is on, so do engage with us on our social media platform. Herman Manyora is the channel of our name on YouTube. I'm at Mwenja Richard on Twitter. Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, God bless you. But up next is the Business Glide African Proverb of the Day.